ועכשיו זה בא רסיסים, למה זיכרונות נמסים, כמה שאני לא כיסיתי זה נכנס לי בתריסים, אין על מי לשים את הראש, גם אם לא שברתי שילמתי, לך תמצא על מי לכעוס.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And my name is Sarah Sless. I'm coming to you from Israel, and looking forward to spending this hour and a bit together. On Shabbat morning, on the 7th of October, our world changed. From that Shabbat morning, when Hamas commandos and terrorists infiltrated into southern Israel across the Gaza border to this very moment, we witnessed the worst weeks in Israel's history and indeed in Jewish history. As President Herzog noted, more Jews were killed on one day, on that fateful October 7th, than any other day since the Holocaust. Alongside so many Jews, slaughtered and kidnapped were Bedouin, Arabs, and foreign workers. For many of us living in Israel, the shock beyond the surprise was that these terrorists came into our homes. And when they couldn't open the sealed, safe rooms, they simply burned the houses down with such immense force. The shock is that they barbarically killed children, babies, and the elderly, and they gunned down hundreds of young people just out to have fun at an outdoor music rave. Whether you are Jewish or of any other faith, I know that many of you have family or friends or shlichim you knew or know who may have been hurt or whose family have been hurt. This horror has touched us all. Let us take a moment and focus on one of the families, one of the many faces you will have seen on the news or on social media, and pray for them and their loved ones. Today's call, and perhaps other calls we will have together, is not a military briefing, nor will I go into the gory details. Today we come together to share, to learn from each other, and be inspired by each other. I know that many of you and your JCCs are already doing great things, taking part in vigils, having memorial corners in the lobby, and more. We have a duty and responsibility to tell the story. We have a duty to be a part of the story. If we do not, we are leaving a vacuum for our colleagues and our members, a vacuum that may be filled with ignorance or fake news. Thank you for taking the time to join us today and be a part of this important discussion. So now, I'm pleased to introduce you to my two colleagues, Tova Birnbaum, Director of Jewish Content at the Oshman Family JCC, and Senior Jewish Educator Specialist at JCC Association, and very new to our Jewish JCC Association family, Uriah Roth, Project Director of Mitchabrim, which means connecting, a new initiative that you will get to hear about in the near future, collaboration of JCC Association with the Ministry of Diaspora. Uriah, over to you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening here from Jerusalem. Thank you for joining us today. I want to start it by looking at what are we going to do here today in the next hour, and I want to set up a few goals for today. First of all, I know that I think most of you, or maybe all of you, were part of either a big gathering or vigil in the last week. There was this moment that in every community, people were coming together the day after, or October 7th, or 3 or 5 days after last week. And then we are here to talk a little bit about what we're going to do after the big gathering. Now that's day-to-day life, and we want to be there, and we want to talk about things that are happening in Israel. We want to talk about what can we do as a JCC, as an organization, also each and every one of you in his own JCC. We also want to invite you to share programs or activities that is done in numerous JCCs around North America. And I want you maybe to hear like something that you will be inspired to do later in your own JCC. We also here to share resources. I'm going to show you later today a little bit about our JCC Stands with Israel at War resource page that we have. We also have a new PDF file with many options or ideas or thoughts or comments that Sarah just put together in the last few days that I think could be inspiration for some of you or for all of you. And the last thing is to talk about what's next. How can we continue to support each other? How can we continue from here, from Israel, to support you? And how can we support each other? And I hope the next 50 minutes will be useful and also be a place for us to talk to each other. Thank you very much.
So I'm looking for Ariel on the screen, Ariel Platt, and unless your name is different from Ariel was going to share with us an initiative from Baltimore. If you are there, Ariel, can you unmute yourself? I'll find your name.
I don't think he's here.
So hopefully if Ariel joins a little later, he's from the Baltimore JCC and he will share with us an initiative that they did. And I'm going to hand over to Tova. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, Uriah. Thank you all for being here. I am joining you from California, from Palo Alto. And I just want to express my gratitude for all the opportunities to gather and to support each other as colleagues. So this is really, really wonderful to be with all of you. I know that many of you are planning a lot of programs, and many of you are kind of drowning in many ideas or needs or suggestions. We all want to have Israel present in our centers, but my question to you today is, we're the JCC movement. Israel is always on our minds. We have a lot of Israel programs. And my question to us today is, what sets this moment apart? Why is it different now, today? And I know that many of you feel that the answer is very clear. It's very clear to all of us. It's a different scale. It's a different type of incident. But I really want us to go deeper. And the reason I want us to go deeper, because I think it will guide us in our choices or how to relate to Israel in our centers. It is very, very difficult to understand how, but we know that in the last 12 days, a new chapter in the Jewish story has begun. It is a new chapter in the story of the state of Israel. It's a new chapter in the story of Israelis, and it's a new chapter for the Jewish people. And historically, there is no way for us to understand how things are going to be different. What might help a little bit is for us to look at other unfortunate events like the 67 war, which changed a lot. Eventually, there were some other outcomes. The 73 war, Yom Kippur War, changed everything for Israelis, for the Jewish people. The assassination of the Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, and many of us have, I think all of us experienced that, and we can say 25 years after how it changed the story. So we cannot know, but we know that on so many levels, it has changed. It is going to change, as I said, the lives of Israelis, the state of Israel, the story, the Jewish people, and the relationship between diaspora and Jews and Israel. So I want us to keep that in mind, because that means that we cannot continue thinking about Israel as program people the same way we did. It is going to be difficult to understand in what way Israel is going to be present in a different way, but we need to be very, very aware of that. What I want to suggest to help us a little in this very, very complicated situation is one thing that always helps, to focus on goals. Because if you look at all the different ideas, and you will see we have a really, really rich resource page for you, there's a lot of ideas, but how can I choose? So I know my center or my department, and I invite you to think about either your whole center or your department, which is also wonderful. What are the needs of my people? Where are we in Israel, education, in Israel connection, Israel engagement, and what are my goals? And when I'm thinking about goals, I want us to think about short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. So short-term, I would say the next weeks or months, where the situation in Israel is still going. What are the needs? What are the goals when I'm doing Israel-related programs? Mid-term, maybe it's the next year. So we will have a little bit more time to plan. We can plan ahead a little bit. What are my midterm goals? And then the long-term goals next year and on. Where do I want to take my center when it comes to Israel, learning about Israel, connecting with Israel, engaging with Israel? So in order to make this more practical, I want to do something that we rarely do as program people, is take time for ourselves to think. And I know you would all identify with how we kind of chase our own tails and really sometimes do not have the luxury to think strategically, because we have to execute and we have to plan and we have to submit to marketing and we need to make sure everybody knows about the next event and talk to the musicians and so on and so on. Because you gave yourself the gift today of joining this call, then we are going to give you the gift of 3 minutes of quiet to think about goals. So what I would like us to do in the next, we're literally going to take 3 minutes. We're going to take a pen and something to write on. And I want you to choose short, mid, and long-term goals for Israel presence, Israel engagement, Israel programming. Try to focus on 2 goals, 3 maximum for each category. Please don't go beyond 3 goals for each category. And I will later invite you to take this exercise and do it with your colleagues, but just for it to be more practical, let's do it right now. So I'm going to give us 3 minutes of quiet. Please write down your goals for Israel programming, and we will share a little bit in 3 minutes. So Sarah reminded me that, and thank you so much, that I have a list of examples for goals. So you don't have to use those, but I do want to share those examples in the chat. Thank you so much, Sarah. So here are some examples. For example, right? Supporting the local community in the light of the situation. We all feel anxiety. We all also are thinking about our own security. Supporting the local Israeli community, which I know you realized in the last few days, that is, they have different needs if you have Israelis in your community. Supporting Israel during the current situation, immediate needs, right? We are all in this wave of fundraising and sending stuff to Israel, providing education about Israel. That can be contemporary, it can be Israel history, Zionism, supporting ongoing projects in Israel, like long-term projects in Israel, engaging in Israel advocacy. We know that the media and the image and the story and the narrative of what's happening is very sensitive. Engaging Israeli culture, fostering healthy engagement around Israel with neighboring communities. If you have Arab communities, Muslim, Christian, maybe it should be an interesting opportunity to engage in a healthy engagement. So these are just examples. So feel free to take from this list or not, but I hope this is helpful. Thank you, Sarah. We'll take one more minute and then we'll reconvene. Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time and thinking about your center and Israel and how you want to address this issue. Of course, again, short, mid, and long term. What I would like to ask now is if a volunteer can share the short term. Let's think about the short term for now. Again, the situation, unfortunately, is still going on. We still are glued to the news. There are still all these developments happening. We still are experiencing all those emotions. There's immediate help that is needed and so on. Anyone can please unmute themselves or raise their hand, whatever is comfortable, and I will call on you. Vakasha, Mark.
Hi
Please
there.
share
Hi
your
there.
short-term goals around Israel.
Yeah, just right now, our short-term goals
Can you
have
please
been-
introduce yourself, where
sorry.
you are from?
Mark Jacob with the Dayton Jewish Community Center here in Ohio. Our short-term goals, other than we did bring the community together for a solidarity program, but it's really been focusing on the staff here and having an opportunity for them to share their thoughts, because a lot of people are feeling very alone. We have a lot of non-Jewish staff here that are effective, affected as well. And so we just opened it up for anybody that wants to be at a voluntary meeting. It wasn't mandatory. Just after, as soon as work finished, they could stop by, they could chat with their colleagues. And so it's just the mental health of the staff, which then gives them the capability to be feel stronger when they're dealing with our clientele. So that's one of the short.
That's so I'm so glad that you mentioned that. We tend to forget about ourselves, right? And those of you who are in maybe higher positions, you see your teams and you see that we are not very good at self-care sometimes, especially during crisis. And also because of the unique composition of JCC teams, we need information. We need people to feel confident to talk about what's happening. And people need to feel that they are allowed, even if they're not Jewish, they're allowed to engage and to support and feel part. They should not feel lonely in this situation. So this is so, so, so wonderful. And I really appreciate that. We tend to forget about how much we need to take care of ourselves and to make sure that we're okay so we can support others. So this is a short-term goal to think about the wellness of the staff during crisis. Thank you. Mark, any other goals that you want to share short-term? Or this was the one that you chose?
This is the short term. We've got, we're looking at longer term, but I'll let
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your staff is very lucky to have you. Really, this is wonderful. Who else? Tracy, please. Tracy, and then we have yeah. Okay, anyway, please. Can you introduce yourself, Tracy?
Sure. So I'm Tracy Sussman with the JCC, the Lehigh Valley, and Jody Leavenworth, our aquatics directors, on this call with me. We traveled actually with the help of Sarah to Israel back in, you don't know, Sarah, 2017 maybe. And, we really have a deep connection here and have continued since that trip. So we have a wonderful executive director, Eric, who gathered us right away, all of the management staff, to discuss how we were feeling, similar to what was just said, and to come together to come up with ideas. So I'm on the membership and marketing side, so I'm not a program person, but things that we have done in the short term, we are housed with Jewish Federation. We are not a federated JCC, but we held a vigil together. We have, I think Sarah mentioned, we also have a memorial area. We have yurtzeit candles lit. We are supporting their fundraising campaign. We're not doing our own. We have teamed together with one of the local synagogues. There'll be a Havdalah service for people to come together and to share in the support of Israel, light candles and share in dessert. Because I think what we're all realizing is you feel guilty having any good time when all of this is going on, but yet people are getting married, having bar mitzvahs, and we don't want to also forget about that, right? We have to, and it's one of the things we've learned most. Our community is partnered with the Yoav community in Israel, and I've probably talked to about 25 different people that were either Slahim or teens that have stayed in our homes that we've hosted, or people on the committee. And the one thing that I think we all we feel we could share with our community is that they're strong, that everyone's together, and anything that was dividing them, this has brought them together, and man, they are resilient. So we're trying to have that same spirit here. We've put up a big mural in our lobby that says that we stand with Israel, and we invite local people to share their support of people in Israel if they want to share stories or they want to put pictures up or pray for someone. There's a big banner in our lobby for people to do that with Sharpies and double-sided tape to put up the pictures, but it's really a nice gathering place for people to talk and laugh. They're telling good stories, not all, sad. I think those are the immediate ones. Jody, if I'm missing anything, step in. The only other one that I could think of that we're in the midst of planning is through our fitness director. a meditative, a LED meditative type program where we'll have candles in the back. People that aren't Jewish don't necessarily understand the yahrzeit candle, but they do see light and they understand what light means. So some sort of restorative meditative program with Israel in the forefront, and for them to have the ability to have a quiet space for them also to light a candle. So Jody, did I miss anything? I know I see you on here somewhere. I lost her in the Zoom grid, but she's here.
Wonderful. And Jody, if you want to add, please feel free to unmute. And Tracy, thank you so much for sharing. And it sounds like for you and your center, the focus right now is the local community and the resilience and the ability to be together. And you're using all these words, right, that help people understand and process, not that it's easy to process, right? Also,
right. I don't know if anybody else had teens, but we had several kids through a Hebrew Academy that were at Must studying. We had a basketball player that grew up here that was playing, down in the South. So I think our community, now they're all home, but, last week was so intense getting kids out of there, young kids that were there by themselves. So I think this week we're all able to breathe a little bit more. So I don't know if other communities are experiencing that, but, for people that have family, friends, or had children there, it's definitely created a different dynamic.
Thank you so much. And I want to kind of use your example to maybe just highlight for us as JCC people, and I'll mention that later, we are part of an ecosystem and we have other organizations that we partner with. And sometimes it's helpful to be in touch with other organizations and kind of say, okay, what are we focusing on? What are our goals? What are your goals, right? We're Jewish organizations. Sometimes we are nice to one another. Sometimes we like to step on each other's toes, but some goals can be allocated to some organizations. And what I feel from you, Tracy, in your center, that your role is the community, the local community, the resilience, being together. And that is so, so, so impressive. Having that very, very, very clear goal, it shows. And as I said before, your community is very lucky to have you. So we have Guillermo and then Ron, and then we'll continue. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Guillermo. I'm the social media manager for the JCC in Vancouver, Canada. So I'll be more specific with my goal in my department. So we are trying to analyze the content that we are putting out on our social media channels. We are trying to be very sensitive with the photos that we post, the images, the language. We are trying to be very careful with every word that we put on our social media channels, and also analyze how is going to be our interaction with the people who, unfortunately, they put some hate comments, especially because you need to identify if those could be a threat for your JCC, or it's only a hate comment, or maybe it's a bot, or maybe it's something created with AI. So we are trying to be very analytic with the content that we are releasing on social media. And yeah, so I encourage everyone to also participate on social media, because it's very important. Like, I don't like to say this, but I think the propaganda war, the other group, they are doing a great job on social media, and a lot of us are very quiet on social media, and nobody says things, and nobody's participating. So it's very important that we raise our voices, but at the same time, be very sensitive on the things that we are sharing. Also, because we have a different audiences in our JCC social media accounts. So it's good to share a Instagram story that shows a lot of violence. And if we have like teenagers or kids that maybe they are followers on social media, is this gonna help, or is gonna impact in their mental health? So those are the questions that we are right now trying to figure out. And so, yeah, thank you for listening and spread love.
Amazing. So Guillermo, you know, I saw a lot of people watching you with envy and envying your JCC, that you have such a level of expertise and professionalism around social media. And that is amazing. And maybe we will find ways for you to share more of your background and expertise, because we know, unfortunately, maybe we keep talking about what sets this time apart. The social media part is like another front, right? And we feel sometimes that we are all soldiers, and that also can create anxiety. That can also create a sense of maybe I don't know enough, so I cannot be part of the conversation. So the work that you're doing, very focused on that as a Jewish community center who takes on that role, is so significant. And again, it's a very specific goal for you, for your department. And I'm sure you're working with all the other pieces, but this is really, really impressive and very intentional. So thank you so much. And we'll have Ron from Pittsburgh share his short-term goals, and then we'll move on. Please, Ron, good to see you.
Good to see you, Tova. I hope you're doing okay-ish.
Yeah.
So actually, I use this time to put on paper what we've been talking about. And I'm not sure if it's going to go ahead because it's got to go through a lot of hoops. But I have concerns short-term about staff, not just the staff that aren't Jewish, who maybe don't understand what's going on, but also the staff who are Jewish, who don't understand what goes on. So I'll read for you what I put down. In these difficult times, we might have similar questions. Why do Israelis/Jews and Arabs/Palestinians/Muslims have such a strong disagreement about the land in between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea? And why do Jews in Pittsburgh care so much about what is going on 6,000 miles away when many weren't born there, maybe haven't visited, and are fully rooted here? If you'd like to explore these questions, among others, in safe, supportive, non-judgmental, small group spaces, please join Rabbi Ron, Liza Barron, a member of our resiliency team, for those conversations. And I'm hopeful because we're all focusing on how do you feel. I'm hopeful that we can maybe move away from how do you feel, as difficult as it is, to, okay, let's get some shared language about what is going on, and not being doctrinaire, not being dogma-based, right? But just putting it out there. I have like a 6-minute video from the History Channel that does a good job on the history of the land of Israel. And I have a good piece also from the Center for Jewish Peoplehood about collective belonging. And I thought that those might be helpful starters for all of that.
Ron, this is wonderful. I hope once this text is approved, maybe we can all have it, because it's,
Sure.
you know, what is beautiful about it is that you start with the basic questions. So we are all comfortable. Okay, I'm not the only one who goes back to ground zero. Why, right? We have this existential question right now. So I think this is so inviting and so validating, you know, what we, as you said, what we feel or what we know or what we do not know, right? And I'm sure that this is a need for so many centers. And again, focusing on staff. I really, and I must say that I'm very surprised in a good way to see that we know how to focus. And we know once we tell ourselves, this is short term, and then we'll think about midterm, so and long term. So it helps us focus and put the energy in the right places. So I hope we will have time to share more ideas about if some people just want the story to be present on campus. So there's all kinds of different ways to make it present physically. But I do want to invite you, and I know it is really, really hard to do, to set maybe 30 minutes with your colleagues and work on these goals. And when you work on these goals, try to even take another step. Try to think about your goals, to think about potential partners, again, other organizations, specific people, talents, professionals, and resources, right? Maybe we need to reallocate resources. So what resources do we have? Or maybe we're thinking about future year's budget, right? So that is, of course, a very important part. And then a timeline according to our goals. Which parts are we going to execute when? And of course, we know we are always ready to pivot. We've learned that, unfortunately. So I will end with, sorry, another thought. We have already events that are planned. We already have the Jewish calendar. We have our annual things that are going on. Because we acknowledge, and it's very important to acknowledge that what the world 2 weeks ago is not how the world is now. We're not going to be celebrating the holidays exactly the same way. We're not going to be doing all the planned events exactly as they were planned. Not because they need to be drastically changed, and not because we need to mourn and worry all the time, because each and every community gathering, each program is a platform to allow our goals be at the center. So maybe we want to create, maybe it's an opportunity for emotional needs. Maybe it's an opportunity for educational needs. So maybe we're already planning Hanukkah, but Hanukkah's story has a lot of qualities to actually bring in what we feel about what happened in Israel or what we want to do about it. And each and every planned event can have this opportunity to also meet the goals that you are going to focus on. So I think that's another really, really important aspect to think about. And we want to help you think strategically around Israel programming. So we are here to help. If you want to meet one-on-one, either with me or with Sarah or with Dr. Andy Meisels, who is also on this call, feel free to be in touch with us. Our emails will be on the follow-up email, and we would love to sit with you and work with you on your plan. So thank you very, very, very much. And thank you for the really, really inspiring ideas that you shared.
So I think, thank you so much, Tova, for leading us. Mindy, you wanted to say something? And then Ron, I think, wanted to also add something. So we'll start with Mindy.
Okay, I was just going to say that in addition to doing Israel-focused things right now, we actually, and I'm in Raleigh-Durham area, Raleigh-Cary area in North Carolina, we are continuing some of our even canasta and our regular things, and just saying at the beginning, we recognize this is just a time where Jewish people feel like they need to be around Jewish people, other Jewish people and other communities. So just to say that we're not canceling all of our other programs, we're just recognizing them at all the programs we do.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I was on a call with a colleague who had a similar question, should we go ahead? And they had 300 people signed up for a walk, many of whom were not of the Jewish faith, and they actually started the walk with explaining what was happening, a song and Hatikva, and he said it made it probably the most special 5K walk ever. So you've just also shared that with us, so thank you very much. I'm going to ask Ariel, if you would like to take the row and share your screen if you need to share your screen. And thank you for joining us, Ariel.
Hey, thank you for asking me to say a few words. Hi, everyone. I'm Rabbi Ariel Platt. I'm the director of J-Life at the JCC of Greater Baltimore. And I'm going to share a little bit about what we are doing here. And when I say here, I mean, we have multiple campuses, so on all of our campuses, but I have pictures from the one that I'm in now. So let me share my screen. And I do warn you that these are not the best pictures in the world. And you will also see a little bit of my email, but they get the point across. So here is a picture of the table that we currently have in our lobby. This is a little bit farther back, and this is closer. And on it, you'll notice there are ribbons, blue ribbons, and yarn, blue and white yarn. There's the prayer for the state of Israel, and there are cards that people can write to Israelis and soldiers. And there's ways to support. And also, earlier last week, I created a reflection support service, and that is on the table as a resource for anyone who needs words to help process this time. Our JCCs have really become a hub of getting blue ribbons. I never thought I would be buying so many ribbons in my life, but it's really beautiful how many people have come and just grabbed ribbons because they want to show solidarity. They want to do something. They want to feel like they're showing support, and they want to feel like that they're doing something for Israel and the Jewish community. So we have gone through, I bought out many stores, ordered lots from Amazon. It's really beautiful. And in fact, we ended up having to create another table, which I do not have pictured, for non-members, because every time they wanted to come and get a ribbon, they would have to go through security. So now there's another table next to security where they can grab a ribbon and also write their own letters. But it's really shown how much our community, the Baltimore community, has really come together. So it's been powerful in its own way. I mean, it's a small something that we can do at such a heartbreaking time. But so here we are. So
You
that's
also
really
got,
what
I understand, quite a lot of press. You were on the
yes, we've had a lot
well.
of press about this. I mean, we've really become like the hub of people coming together and wanting to show support. Yes, we've been in the news, we've been in magazines. There was also Forefront, which is our teen leadership initiative, also had a gathering for teens last week, which was very beautiful and meaningful, and created a really beautiful and safe space. And we've also been a part of many of our community gatherings and rallies and pieces.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you want to stop sharing?
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to ask you, Ariel, and everybody else here, that if you have pictures of programs or your lobby, then please share with me, and I will make sure that goes on the JCC resource site so that everybody can be inspired by other people's work. I know that Maria said that they've also done something similar. So please do share with us any inspiration. That is the value that JCC brings to the table. There's so many resources everywhere that our resource is you. So Ron, you wanted to say something.
Could I just ask a brief question? And it's not intended to be antagonistic, it's only for information purposes. Yesterday, the JCPA came out with a statement about hate against Arabs and Palestinians and whatnot that 100 organizations signed on to. Is there a reason why JCCA didn't sign that? Do we know? Sarah, if you could find out, I think it would just help as we engage with local partners as to what the thought process is. It was through the JCPA. Thanks.
You're muted, Sarah. I think you're calling in Maria.
Sorry. So first of all, apologies, Ron. I was just saying thank you so much. And you're certainly not antagonistic. You never could be. And I invite Maria to unmute yourself. And you wanted to share something.
Yeah, I just wanted to share what we've done here in the Kaiserman JCC in Greenwood, Pennsylvania. Because I saw the table and I said, oh, we have the exact same table. So we also have a table in the lobby, and we held on Sunday what we call Holding Space for Hope, which was an event for the community, for Israelis and Jewish Americans and non-Jewish, just to come together with two therapists who held a session of grief and hope. We also had something for teens, and we're planning a couple of more events in the upcoming weeks, from dance therapy, I will call it, to maybe something yoga, and I'm hoping to have Shulchan Ivrit, just bring back this awareness for Hebrew speaking. And we also have for parents in our preschool tonight how to speak with kids about what's going on these days. So we try to tackle basically every group, and even our political current events program last week was focused on this. So we're trying as much as we can to bring awareness for this. And I'm happy to share again flyers and material. We created
That would be great.
one sheet of what can I do to put on that table, which is wear a ribbon, say Tehillim, make cards, decorate cards. I can share this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Uriah, over to you.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I know I wanted to share a couple of things that I think could be helpful. One is the JCC Resource Center. Let me just share my screen. And I don't know if all of you have seen it already or not. When you go to the JCC Resource Center here, there's visit the War in Israel page. We're actually working right now about changing, maybe give it a JCC stands with Israel. It's still a work in progress. Every day we try to add as much as needed, and we're trying to go with as many things that we see on the field that make sure that there is a link to it here, as you see, from staff to members in the community. And there's more here, social media messages, JCC activities. We're trying to catch up with everything that is going on. There's a lot of work. Is doing so much work, and also the experienced team at the JCCA, they're working hard to make sure that a lot of all the educational resources are there as well. So here's briefings teaching about Israel. If you didn't have a chance yet, please take a few moments and look at our resource page. And with that, in addition to that, there's one thing. In addition to that, Sarah was working really hard about creating another, maybe, another resource that I think that we all think could be very helpful. This is a PDF file that will be shipped with all of you. Maybe some of you already got it. If not, we're working on it that each and every one of you will have it. But this is for some reason it doesn't go back. But here, this is program ideas for JCC member and staff ambience in your facility. This has 7 pages long of programming. Some of it that already happened. In addition to that, things that we thought about it all together as something that could be super useful. And also, like, in ways we're just wanting to share the good work that's happening in the bill. So I think all of you will be able, Sarah, right? They'll all be able to see it maybe later, even later today or by tomorrow. Each one of you will get the link to the PDF file. And we're working now. Again, everything is happening as we speak. So we're trying to combine both resources together to have the resource page and the PDF all coming as one thing. So we have all the materials in one space, and hopefully that you will be able to share everything that you're doing that you think, like we heard so many amazing things here today. So if we have one page or one resource with everything on it, it will be useful to all of us. Sarah, do you want to add something to that?
So I think what we would like to just close with is by saying that we don't see this as a one-off call. It's not a plaster. It's not, as Tova said so beautifully at the beginning, this is one of those pivotal, monumental events, sadly, in Jewish history. And we are here, and we want to hear what you need as well. So we would love for you to write to us and say, we need another Zoom call to discuss this, or we need another Zoom call just to get together and share, or I'm having a problem with this. I don't think Tova, Uriah, myself, or Andy have answers to any of it, but collectively, together, we can definitely come up with some great support and great ideas. We're in this for the long run. We've always done Israel education and Israel engagement, and it's not going to, and we are going to continue doing this after the war. This is part of an ongoing commitment that we have to help you and for each of you to help each other in this area of Israel engagement. I got a request today, for example, from an assistant exec in a JCC who said, I need some talking points for how my staff can answer questions. And, well, she wants the answers to talking points. And we're going to make that, so we're here to help you and do what you do the best. Does anybody have any last?
I do want to add a couple more things that I did want to mention. One is like the music. We started with music. We're going to end with music, but we're also working on trying to, to collect as many videos in Hebrew with English subtitles of music, Israeli music that can be used in different JCC spaces. I know there's a team, not our team, other people who are working on it, trying to work on YouTube clips that are already there. And I will try to share it as much as possible. I think Israeli music, even, not new songs from the last 2 weeks, but even from the last 10 years that now has another dimension, another meaning. And the other thing that, I know some of you already doing that, like the beginning of staff meetings or the beginning of any meetings in the building, we start with maybe a personal story of, it doesn't necessarily have, there's a lot of stories of, victims that, soldiers and citizens that were murdered, but there are also stories of heroes that did amazing things, that saved themselves and saved their families. And there are stories out there. We're trying to add those to the resources that we already have, as many stories as possible. Some stories that could give maybe hope and put, look at the light at the end of the tunnel. And I do want to add those as well. And just as 2 examples.
So thank you, Tova, so much. Thank you, Uriah. Thanks to everybody for sharing and for being with us. We are going to end with a song by Yael Deckelbaum, Prayer of the Mothers. And
I just want to say before this is really from, it's just appears, but this clip or this music, this video is from, to me, it looks from 700 years ago, but also a sense of togetherness, coexistence, and having kind of message that hopefully is still out there. And I think this video is really unique in the way we can, to conclude our session. So thank you.
And thank you for choosing the song for us. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
רכישת רוח ים מנשבת מאי שם וכביסה מתנפנפת לצילי החומה بين الأرض والسماء ناس كتير بعيشوا سوا ما تخافوا تحلموا بالسلام والأمان متى يمسوا خمات بخات ושבתי מגלותי יפתחו שעריי אל הטוב האמיתי
I want to thank you for standing up for peace alongside your Palestinian sisters. I want to thank you and to let you know that in the world that we live in, peace is possible only when women of integrity and
Wow. I actually also have to mention, it's such a beautiful clip. And sadly, one of the founders and of Waging War for Peace, one of the women is actually in captivity now in Gaza. She's so tragic. She lives on a kibbutz in the south. Somebody who was so in favor of peace. So we pray for those in captivity. We pray for all the families who are hurting so much. And we thank you for your support. Please be in touch with us. Tell us what you need. You're part of the war effort.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. שרה, את נשארת?
כן, כן. אני פשוט...
coughing. Hi, I'm so sorry that I had to leave. I have a program with kids, so I got called away.
You will get the recording.